people are disagreeing with each other, people are having conflict. And that is that's inherently problematic, because without this, as I said, you can't have growth. What's that?
When do you finally achieve some sort of unity, being a small group as it is?
I don't think there is an end point.
There's
I
no
think
such
it's a...
thing.
Well,
There is no such thing.
if I could speak from personal experience, even a couple of different things. Number one, you said that discourse is something that should be utilized and grown, not discouraged. A lot of the time, I'll take an opposite view of someone else in a conversation, not even because I necessarily agree with what I'm saying, just to take the opposite view,
Yeah.
to see how.
Well, that's
And it's
devil's
the fun.
advocate.
It's the fun of the conversation,
Right,
We've had-
absolutely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, two people can sit and fight. Like me and Darren, we're really good friends, and we'll sit and he'll tell me, I'll say something, he'll tell me you're full of fucking shit, man. But you know what? I still love him at the end of the day because he's
Right.
still a great friend of mine, right? Like there is unity even though we're fighting about things.
Yeah. If you can't tell someone that they're full of shit when you think they're full of shit, then
Yeah.
what kind of relationship is that?
I
Really?
don't
Exactly, you
mean,
should
I
be able to
don't
tell
mean
them.
like, don't
Exactly.
kiss and hug at the end of the day, and I certainly want to see that between you. I paid.
The kissing
I
and
don't know
hugging.
if I
Anyway,
I don't know if I do. I don't know if you want
unity,
to.
with regards to being a small group, and believe me, you know, right in there, just being a Wiccan is I guess we're a bit of a larger community than
Oh, yes, certainly.
Thelemites. However, we're still a minority, and so we're dealing with that too. You have to achieve some sort of, if not conformity, which you certainly should try and stay away from, but some sort of unity on an agreed
There definitely
I
has
think
to be
that's-
process or
cohesion.
Well,
path
I
to
think
go
that's a
on.
great. That's a great.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say about this, and this is a great point to make. So where does that come from? And I think that comes from unity of purpose. You know, you can, and it all depends what you're trying to do. I personally find this a lot of my job. Like I've worked with a lot of different people in different times, and there's only one concern that I have when I'm at my job is, can you do the job? There's lots of people, it's like, oh, you're a really nice guy, but you suck at this shit.
Yeah.
So I don't care that I like you, it doesn't matter. When you have a purpose, when you have an end point and a goal,
Yeah.
then these kind of conflicts, they don't matter. It's like you might actively despise the person you're working with, but if you're both working towards the same goal, you will work together and you'll be motivated to work together. And that's actually Crowley's solution to conflicts between human beings is goals, end point, have something that you're working towards, and if you have this shared idea that you're trying to manifest, or shared thing that you're trying to bring about, then it doesn't matter what your personal differences are. If you don't have kind of an end point, you know, and if you have a group, for example, that just exists to be a group, then people fall into all these petty little personal disputes, and then everyone's crap comes out. And that's when it turns into the situation that Crowley describes in Magic Without Tears, where people just sit around and criticize each other's hats because they have nothing better to do. And people will, like, if you have a goal that you're working towards, then there are obstacles to that goal. Nietzsche, a philosopher that Crowley identifies or draws heavily on, identifies this as happiness, as overcoming an obstacle. If you have no goals, you have no obstacles. So there's no such thing as happiness, and then everything becomes bitter,
For sure.
petty.
Nietzsche always said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in
Completely.
the Antichrist, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I think that's Crowley's solution, really, is to have something to build towards, and if you don't, and when you have that, it doesn't matter what your personal differences are with a person.
Right.
It really doesn't at all. But if you don't have that, then it just turns into terrible, terrible bickering. Because people need to have that sense of overcoming an obstacle to be happy. And if they don't have an external obstacle that they're working towards to try and overcome, they will find an obstacle in the other person because they're looking to experience that form of happiness, overcoming. So then they'll just try to overcome this person's opinion on a TV show or something like that. And then it turns into crap.
Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
And I think that in terms of, especially when it comes into education of children, that's where you sort of find your goals, is in that drawing out, where he's trying to trying to identify those aspects of a person that are the ones that you need to draw out, that they're fundamental points. And I don't really think, I think that's very problematic in a context of regular society. And it becomes, and this is where it becomes a big issue, because, you know, like, it's easy to criticize, for example, that you see these groups in the States of these, like, homeschooled kids raised in these fundamentalist Christian environments, and they're very brainwashed and screwed up. And hey, we're in something that could be called a cult in certain ways, and we're talking about doing this same thing.
Well, to the outside for sure.
It's a comparison that people are gonna make.
Of course.
So there has to be a way of combating that idea before it's ever going to be taken seriously.
Well, I think one thing to keep in mind is, like, there is that tendency when you're looking at raising children to be worried about, like, are they going to, are they going to be watching too much TV? Are they going to be, getting involved with other kids that are going to have bad sort of influences on them and that sort of thing? And it's like, those are natural, those are things that are not going to go away. Those are concerns that are not going to go away.
And I think that if you take Crowley's approach, what you would do is tell the kids, okay, go hang out with the bad kid. And don't tell them they're bad kids.
Yeah.
But the child who's raised on, great poetry and great literature is probably not going to be that impressed with the kid who's raised on Jersey Shore, Like, they're going to figure that out for themselves.
And that's the thing, I mean, trying to specifically put, like...
Yeah, you warn them away from these kids, they're going to go right to them.
It's going to naturally happen. That's a matter of fact. I was a nanny for 2 children since the first child was about almost under a year old. And then right as he turned a year old, I was taking care of his sister, who was 3 weeks old. I took care of them from then on till the second one was 2 and the first one was 1. So a year. And to see them grow as people and to understand the way that they responded to, like, I didn't put it on TV ever. Their parents were very B-type people. Like, if you wanted to put on TV for half an hour or like an hour a day, they were okay with that. Like, a little bit of time for yourself to relax, whatever. Like, there's certain, like, Treehouse TV.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying all television is terrible.
No, and even in that sense, though, I could see a difference in the children because their parents were so relaxed, but at the same time, they did not talk to their kids like they were little kids, and neither did I. I can remember thinking that was the wrong way to approach a child. Because I can remember being a child, and I can remember not wanting to be spoken to as a child.
Right.
I wanted to be spoken to as an adult.
There's a certain extent.
And that was something that I struggled with for a long time until I became an adult. I wanted to be approached as an adult because I had views. I was raised having an opinion and being taught to have an opinion that wasn't just an opinion, it was supported by certain things. Yeah. So for me, when I was talking to little kids, like, it wasn't enough to go, like, what do you want? Like, no, tell me what you want. Do you want this? Do you want this? Like, come on, give me a clear answer.
I think that's where the quality of performance comes in, because, although it's, you want to approach, you don't want to approach a child in a condescending way, but at the same time, they are still a child. Like, you can't approach them the same way that you would an adult.
It's a sensitivity.
Yeah. But that's where you have to be a good performer, and you have to show, okay, I'm not going to condescend to you, but at the same time, you remember that you're not dealing with a fully developed human. Like,
no, but at the same time, it's amazing how, in even the span of a month, I could get, like, one of the girl who was younger than the son, I could get her to totally relate to me and just talk like a normal person. She wouldn't be baby talking. She went from baby talking to just regular talk.
Right.
Like, if I talked to her, I said, Nola, what do you want for breakfast? Instead of going, Mimi, I want granola, she would go, I want granola.
Yeah.
Just because I would say to her, it's granola. Like, it's just about leading a kind of...
And I think people, it's not just kids.
Knowing the result of what you're going to... If you talk to a kid like they're an idiot, they're going to think they're an idiot.
Yeah. And
that's the thing.
That's not
Kids should be talked to as if they're adults.
That's not just true of children. I mean, pretty much everyone behaves, they react to the way that you treat them. I mean, if you treat someone like an asshole, they're going to act like an asshole.
Yeah.
If you treat someone with dignity, they're probably going to respond with dignity. If you treat